We've all been in tough situations at some point in our lives. The decisions we made, the paths we chose, allowed us to grow and pivot, or they tore us down. What happened when we did grow? And how is it that the same situation, which felt so daunting at the time, was what made us grow and sometimes move in unexpected ways? The Personal Pivot series explores the jumps and the unexpected shifts people have made at different times in their lives and the results that they have brought. I'm Farhana Das Mohammed, and I'm excited to introduce our guest for today, Lynn Nicolai. I'm privileged to call Lynn a friend, and in every conversation I have with her, I learn so much. Lynn is a career transition coach and the author of Buckle Up, Managing the Career Transition Rollercoaster. Working in large corporations for most of her careers in talent development, Lynn took the plunge and opened up her own practice in 2016, and she's never looked back. Welcome, Lynn. So glad to see you and really looking forward to our chat.
Farhana, it's a delight and a privilege to be here with you.
Thanks, Lynn. So we're just going to dive in right away. I'm going to ask you, as you think about the pivots that you have made, what's been the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, good question. So my pivot from being a full-time employee to working on contract and running my own company, the most challenging part of all of that was really the self-management part of it.
Mm-hmm.
In my book, Buckle Up, I really talk about, it's the emotional self-management, that emotional roller coaster ride. That's really the toughest part of career transition. And I can tell people how to do a resume and how to network effectively and how to have a really strong interview. But it's the difficult part is the emotional part. So for me, as I pivoted, I lived that. We're driven by a need for certainty, and we like predictability. And when you're not working in a full-time job, all of a sudden you've got this vast amount of time that you have to organize, and you have to create structure for yourself and processes. And so that's not easy at the beginning because all this void then causes stress.
Yes.
And then, of course, with stress comes the inner voice, the saboteur. Are you sure you know what you're doing? You ought to do this, or you're not enough, or, all of those negative voices.
I call them gremlins.
Yes, gremlins. The judge.
Yes.
Always judging. The challenge has been really to look that in the face every day and then make a conscious choice, to turn down the volume of that inner judge and turn up the volume of the sage, my inner self that knows what I want and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that's been the challenge. And when people are going through career transition, and I write about this in my book, your ability to self-manage yourself, all your doubts, all your fears, all the stories that we make up, that will make a huge difference in the quality of the transition.
So Lynn, your pivot, one of them was becoming self-employed. And when you went down that route, when you said yes to self-employment, what were you saying no to?
I was saying no to certainty to some degree, like knowing how the day would unfold and what the projects would be. I was really embracing the not knowing and really trusting that whatever came up, I would be able to deal with it. What I said yes to, though, was, now I'm going to do the work that's aligned to my core, that are aligned to my core values and my key strengths.
Mhm.
And when people are going through career transition, there's so much at stake, and
Yep.
people are making so many decisions. And I find that when I'm really operating from the place of where my strengths are and where I'm living aligned to my core values, then I'm really in my sweet spot. And I find that I can make decisions, much more confident decisions, because I will say to myself, is this aligned to one of my core values? And then if it is, great, green light, go forward.
Did you have to
And
work to getting your clarity on your core values, and in your work that you've done, have you seen people struggle with finding clarity of what their values are?
yes, because it's not a typical question that people are asked. So, what are your top 10 core values? But there are like many free resources out there. I mean, you can go on my own website, coachinginaction.ca, and you'll find a really reliable and valid assessment that helps you really hone in on it. It does take some effort, but they do reveal themselves. And once people become really, really clear on what they value and what their core strengths are, then clarity emerges.
And I think that people are so used to just following the values of the organization that
Yeah.
they don't normally take time to actually clarify those the values that we may have. And maybe sometimes we take for granted that we know what we know about ourselves, but it's when you lose your job, or when you're no longer with that organization, that you might feel a little adrift, that you realize that actually I need to get that clear in my head, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when you are looking for work, there's so much at stake, and you want to make sure that you're taking the right actions, taking the right decisions. And so what will you base that on? And so I say you want to always have the core decision matrix, if you will, being your core values, your strengths, and also knowing what some of your imperatives are, like what is really important to you. um, when we are in choosing careers or choose paths or making a pivot that's really aligned to our inner DNA, which is a part of our values, then we're sort of showing up with more confidence and um, and more consistency, because we do have our North Star
Yeah.
and we know what we stand for and what we don't stand for.
What do you feel is the biggest gift that you have got through this?
Hmm. The biggest gift. Um, I mean, right now, I feel the gift is, it's on many different levels. But here I am working in Europe, all over Europe. My decision has enabled me to sort of be a virtual nomad, and no matter where I am,
Yeah.
I can work. And that has been an incredible gift.
That is
And
truly wonderful.
but the greater gift has been, I mean, to make a change, not to make too light of it, it can be very, very stressful. I was swimming in unfamiliar territory. So the gift is really, it gave me lots of fodder, if you will, for
Yep.
practicing, like really living in that place where I trust myself, where I have confidence. It was a daily practice. And although that doesn't seem like a very enticing gift, once, I develop those muscles, and when the people I work with are able to pivot into their sage, um, people become very, very powerful. Even when people are in career transition, I mean, I'm typically working with people that are high achieving professionals. And, not only have they lost, a salary, they've lost friendships, connections, predictability. And so it's not easy. But there comes a point when we're working together where a person says, never in a million years would I thought I'd be saying this, but I do see the gift in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is often a gift because a lot of people just really haven't thought about what they want. And so they have a career by default versus a career by design.
Yes. When you went through the pivots, was it one big ginormous pivot, or was it more like a series of small pivots, and then maybe sometimes bigger pivots that got you to where you're at?
My experience is that it's like a dam. There's usually a little water gets through a small little part of the dam, and then before you know it, the dam bursts, and a new reality emerges. So no, it's usually a bunch of little pivot points, and then one day you get a breakthrough. But
Yeah.
but even when the dam bursts and it seems like everything is moving at the same time and things seem unwieldy,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. Trust yourself, stay true to your North Star, your values and your key strengths, and you will land, you will be fine.
I think that's what we all need to remember, especially in the world that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
We've seen so many brilliant examples of people and organizations pivoting. Um, and on the surface, it might look like a ridiculously crazy jump, and how did they do it? But I think if you cultivate your values, if you embrace the uncertainty and you're willing to go with the flow and see where it takes you, knowing that you have that confidence in your abilities and your skills, then you can really tackle any situation that comes to you, and deal with it with grace and with lots of success.
Yeah. I love the word that you chose, grace.
Yeah.
Just catch yourself when you're feeling negative, when you're feeling uncertain, when you're feeling doubt, when you're feeling frustration. Those are just clues that the judger has taken over. And then you need to switch into your sage. And that's a practice. And that's the
Mhm.
gift of the challenge because it asks a lot of you. And then the
It's true.
more that you get to give of your strong side, the more it will grow and develop. And I've seen that so many times,
Yeah.
and I've experienced it myself.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for sharing your personal pivots and where it's landed you at. I'm really looking forward to reading the book. And, it looks like it has a lot of gems in it and a lot of learning. And more power to all of us as we continue to shift and grow and move in ways that can even surprise us, even though we were anticipating what we're doing.
Thanks for Hannah. It's been a pleasure.